welcome to the YouTube channel for Enchanted Vibes, Spiritual Readings, and Wellness. My name is Omo Ogbonyomi, and I am a goddaughter of Priestess Oshun Funke. I'm also known as Queen T. I know that's a lot easier to say. I'm the creator of Enchanted Vibes, and also I am the co-owner of Vibe and High. So this is the divination part of the series. This is the Enchanted Basics of Rituals and Magic series. So this is the divination portion of that, and I'm going to tell you when, how, and why you need to divine over your working. So let's get into it. Use whatever tool you're most comfortable with. I use Cowrie or OB when I'm asking yes or no questions. It's just easier, especially with this particular type of working. I don't want to have to interpret too much. Is this correct? That's all I want to know. So I tend to use those. But you can use whatever you're most comfortable with. You can use pennies, tarot, playing cards, a pendulum, whatever. I do not recommend using a pendulum if you do not have a lot of experience in using it. Last time I asked, my people told me not to use a pendulum. And so that was period the end on that. I thought about it. I wanted to. They said no. So before I even get started, let me just say this. Do not go against divination. If you are told no, there is a reason. Find something safe to do. Okay? If you do it anyway, there will be consequences. This is why many people say something backfired. It's because they shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. Some people say it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission, and that's fine. Do you? However, you would better be protecting yourself if you are doing something left-handed. The reason is you don't know everything. Your ancestors have a much better view of the situation than you do. They have much better intel than you do. That man that you are trying to do a spell on may have kids you don't know about. That girl that you are trying to do something on, she may have an auntie who practices and venerates and is stronger than your entire living family. Just saying. That job you want may come with baggage you don't need, like a boss who has sexual harassment charges or something like that. There's all types of things. So if you get a no, know that it's not because they're being mean. It's because they're protecting you from something, or they have a better, bigger vision than the one that you have. It's not just a no, okay? Do workings that will bring you prosperity and protection in all ways, and focus on being your best self, and then everything else will fall in line. So I tend to focus my workings on that, on protection, healing, love, not like love spells. I don't do work on people. However, I do work that will help strengthen bonds between people. And like I said, everything else will fall in line if you do that. So the very first thing to do is to get approval for the work. So I write down every item, ingredient, intention, my ritual protocol, the offerings, and the disposal. Once I have all that together, I ask for permission to do the working as is. If I get a yes, I move on to setting up sacred space, which there is a separate video that I have already posted for that, part of the series as well. If I get a no, I will ask questions to determine what I need to change. And it's usually just like the intention of an herb or the herb itself. Either they want me to take it out or they want me to add something. That's usually the only thing I have to change. Sometimes they want me to simplify the working and remove a layer. Sometimes I have a mirror that I'm using and they're like, no, take the mirror away. I typically only need to ask a couple of questions, and this is where my claircognizance kind of kicks in. I just know which questions to ask, so I can't really give you a system for that part. You kind of just have to be in touch with your people and be venerating your ancestors so that you can hear them in a way that makes sense to you. I don't hear them audibly. So I just, while I'm doing it, I can look at my list of things. While I'm trying to figure out why they gave me a no, I'm looking at my list of things and I'm like, all right, do I need to change an herb? And usually that's what it is. If you're having a hard time, ask if you have permission to do the working at all. So if you asked a bunch of questions and you can't figure out what it is, say, do I have permission to do this work? If you're using like a yes or no method. And then if you get a no and you know how, I suggest pulling a couple of tarot cards or playing cards, whichever you're more comfortable with. And try to see where the collapse is, because they may want you to do a whole entire different type of working. They still want you to do something, but not the working that you thought that you needed to do. So if you were thinking that you were going to do a love working to, strengthen the bond between you and a particular person, or a self-love working, something like that, they may change it and be like, no, you don't need self-love right now, girl, you need money. Okay, go change these herbs out and get a different color candle and do some money work. Girl, your account is at $2. So that may be the situation right there. Sometimes they have other priorities for you in general, and so you need to change the entire working. I have definitely had to change my entire working and start from scratch, and I was irritated as hell, but I was obedient. Because I am obedient, I am blessed. So remember that. Do not go against divination. Once you get a yes, set up sacred space, give your offerings, and cleanse your items. Every enchantment needs to be verified. So I personally prefer to enchant things individually and then ask if it's done correctly before moving on to the next step. This will prevent me from having to go back through everything again, because I've had to do that before. Especially when I was newer to the practice and I didn't fully know how to say things to enchant them properly. I definitely had to re-enchant and re-enchant and re-enchant. Once everything is assembled, pray over the entire working. So divine to see if the working is complete. Sometimes it's the final prayer itself. It's just about making sure that you pray that all the pieces work together as a whole. And if you've done that and you've done it thoroughly, generally that kind of cleans up anything that you missed along the way. And sometimes it's the amount of fluid that you're using. If you're using like oil or water and you're working for something, sometimes you just need a little bit more. If the working is going to last more than a few hours, it must be fed. So therefore, divined over. Herbs, prayers, and fluid are the most common ways that you have to feed a working. Start with a prayer or meditation over it, and then ask if anything else is needed, that if that wasn't enough. If the working requires a lot of shifting in energy, then you may need a whole new ingredient, especially if while the working is going, again, there's energies, but there's energies outside of you and your house. And so if the energies that are needed are over here making weird decisions based on their own particular set of circumstances, then you may need to change your working. So just listen to spirit and divine for confirmation as to, if something else is needed. And once the time of the working is over, divine again to see if the working is complete or if it needs to be repeated in some way. Sometimes the work that you are doing is extensive, and so you may need to repeat the process You may need to change certain parts of it, but you may need to do this working. It might be something that's ongoing, or you may need to do it once a week, especially like prosperity working. Obviously, that way it would have worked that time, but that's something that's ongoing that you would need to do. But if your particular situation is more in depth, then you may need to do a couple of things to help with that situation. So don't think everything is going to be a one-time thing and it's going to be done with. If complete, confirm that you can dispose of it in the way you first wrote down. If you had to change something after you started, you may need to change something about the disposal as well. If it was just an herb, then probably not. But if you needed to make bigger changes along the way, then you may need to change how you dispose of it. So just double check. And then make sure you say a prayer during the disposal process. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out the rest of the videos in this series. That way you get a more in-depth understanding. If you would like to learn more about our community or to get started on your path, there are links in the description for our Coven's Facebook page, our community outreach program, and some other stuff. So check all those out. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when there are new videos released. And I go live every Saturday at 4:30, where I will summarize the general points in the videos that were released the week before. So it's a good time to add to the discussion, ask questions for clarity if you weren't sure, and then share your experiences, especially if you're a more experienced practitioner and you feel like I forgot something, you can tell me about it in live videos. How about that? So until next time, keep your head so high that you can't even see the haters.